Rainy Lake encompasses more than 360 square miles of world-class fishing waters that form the border between Minnesota and Ontario. In late summer, countless submerged islands, reefs, and shoals attract structure-loving walleye like moths to the flame. Casting glide baits have become the go-to methods for not only catching numbers of fish, but the trophy walleye Rainy Lake is famous for. Jake Romanack of Fishing 411 TV teams up with Captain Donnie O'Bert to do a little truck camping in the Travel Lite RV while showcasing this world-class fishing destination. This episode also provides the perfect opportunity to discuss the finer points of fishing glide baits for walleye.
Right here. Wind is blowing right into that saddle. Let's go take a look at that, huh? You seeing some?
There's some under the boat.
Okay.
And there's some over there.
All right.
There's some right over here.
Okay.
Oh, there's fish here, Donnie.
Yeah, I figured there might be. There we go.
Hooked up, Donnie?
Yeah, pinned her to the bottom, this one did. I'd cast all the way down this side of this rock spine and actually ended up hitting it right behind the boat. So that's
nice fish too.
Yeah, had her pinned.
Nice.
Yep, we'll take it. Whew. Just a chunker, boys. She's not real long, but look at the girth on this girl. Angry, 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 angry. Dude, that's probably a keeper here. Good grief, look at how fat they are. That's from eating smelt. You know, they're just a steady smelt diet on this part of the lake. So I think we're not keeping any today, so we're gonna send her home. Just angry that one was. Geez, still angry. Just, whoo.
You know, my guest on this week's episode is Donnie O'Bert, and Donnie, he is an absolute character. We've been talking for years and doing a television show together. We just haven't had the opportunity to make it happen. And last year we were all together at an Otter Pro staff gathering, and we were talking back and forth, and we're like, we just need to make this happen. So we set some dates, and finally I got to come up to Rainy Lake and spend a couple days with Donnie O'Bert.
You know, so sometimes you feel that dunk, but it doesn't hook up. If I've watched them on my live sonar, I've seen them swing for it and swing for it and swing for it, and you think of walleyes chasing minnows in nature. They don't catch everything they swing at. So like if you're watching it on your live sonar, just keep fishing it, because sooner or later they're gonna grab it. You know, they'll swing and miss 2 or 3 times. Sometimes they hit your line, so you know they're there. You know, keep fishing it. That one hit literally right under the boat, and I had cast out probably 100 feet, so.
Not a monster.
That's all right.
That's the cool thing about this style of fishing though, is using your electronics and seeing them, knowing that they're right there, and then having it pan out exactly how you want.
Yeah, we literally drove right to that pot of fish, so perfect.
One of the cool things about this fish, it's not a big one, but you can see all these fish here on this live sonar, and they were out in front of the boat. And so what Donnie did is he drove the boat up closer to us, so those fish were closer to the boat. And on the very first cast, this one bit. Now it's not a big walleye, but this style of fishing is just an exciting way of catching fish. It's pretty aggressive, putting these lures right in front of their face. And again, this is that probably 15-inch fish with a number 9 jigging wrap. So it's not a profile thing. It's get that lure in front of them, be aggressive with it, and they're going to eat it.
Special considerations are provided by the Lake St. Clair Walleye Association and by Striker Brands. Go early, go late, go prepared. Special considerations are provided by Fish Hawk Electronics. Fishing without a fish hawk is called boating.
Right, that one right there.
Yep.
Let me see here. Still pulling tight on him, Donnie.
All right. You don't know he's hooked yet.
He's not a huge one.
You got a flipper?
We're just gonna flip him.
That's a sandwich there.
It's a good fish, about as big as you want to flip into the boat, but there's so many fish down there right now. I just want to get him unhooked and go catch another one. It's a nice fish. We're looking for these bigger fish, but right now, if we got to sort through a pile of these to find bigger fish,
yeah, that's a good problem. That's a good problem.
Yeah, you're not going to hear me complaining.
So one of the distinct advantages to using any live sonar setup is your ability to read fish and read their attitude towards your bait. So there are certainly days where you will find some fish and we'll put baits right on them. And you know, this is a very aggressive technique that we're fishing. So there are days where fish don't want that. And so if you put it right on them and you give that thing a couple of rips and those fish just, they blow out of town, I would maybe think about another presentation or finding another pot of fish that does want to interact with you. If they're blowing right out, they want nothing to do with you. Find something else or find somewhere else to go. You know, the ability to watch in real time fish react to a presentation, it's just such a valuable tool for gathering information. It's I've honestly learned more about walleyes and walleye behavior running my live system for the last 3 years than I think you could figure out in a lifetime with traditional sonar. That's true.
I really just sat down, dropped this jigging wrap right on him. Pretty good fish. Woo! Hit right below the boat, Donnie, so you spunky. Nice. They're getting bigger. That's exactly what we were looking for. You know, basically we were just covering a ton of water today, hopping around from little piece of structure to little piece of structure. And you know, I'm pretty lucky today because I got Donnie in the boat with me, and this man fishes this fishery a lot. And he knows these little spot on a spot pieces within the structure that these fish like to hold on to. And so we have a milk run basically. We're just popping around from spot to spot. This fish absolutely read the script.
So the reactionary bite that we're trying to get with glide baits is a little bit different than, say, an active feeding bite. So the way I like to say it is you can have just finished Thanksgiving dinner, and if somebody says, hey, you want one of these mini Snickers, you might think about it and say, you know what, I'm good, I'm full, I really don't want one. But if somebody walks in the living room and just throws one at you, you grab it and eat it. That's the same principle that glide baits have on walleyes. It's such an instinctual, they see this suffering, dying minnow flipping upside down and gliding to the bottom, and it must be something they see in nature a million times. It's such a reactionary strike that they almost can't turn it down. So if you're struggling with live bait or trolling and you're marking pods of fish, you know, glide baits can be a great option if the fish are not feeding.
That's a good fish right there. And like Donnie's been saying too, is just like how healthy these fish are. There's a lot of smelt out here on Rainy Lake. Fish are absolutely gorging themselves, and there's no question about it. You just see how tight they are, how fat they are. I mean, that's not a big walleye, that's a beautiful walleye. But you just, pound for pound, it's gonna be hard to beat that fish right there.
Special considerations provided by Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Special considerations are provided by the Ultimate Sport Show Tour, Michigan's premier sport shows.
Yeah, baby, look at that. Woo!
Travel Lite Truck Campers presents the 411 on fishing.
You know, Jake and I were very fortunate that we helped design a crankbait for Bill Lewis called the Precise Walleye Crank. We call it the PWC for short. It's very popular amongst walleye fishermen, dives deep, it's got a loud rattle, got 2 oversized wide bend style treble hooks on it, so it really hooks and holds walleyes very well. And this bait has really taken off great in the marketplace. But check a look over here. The next thing in the process is the next bait we call the PWC Lite. And as you can see by comparison, it's considerably smaller. It doesn't dive quite as deep, but what the PWC Lite has is it has a little bit more action, a little bit more roll to it. It's got a loud rattle, great finishes. In fact, something that I'm excited about, you don't typically see on crankbaits anymore. Check that lip out right there. A chrome lip is going to give more flash, particularly important when you're fishing in the summertime when the water is stained with plankton. You need a little bit more flash to pull those fish in from a greater distance. So the PWC Lite is a great fast trolling summertime lure. The PWC, of course, is an excellent bait for slow trolling, early in the year, late in the year. Either way, you can't go wrong with a Bill Lewis PWC.
I don't know who was more surprised about that, you or the fish, Jake.
Yeah, it woke me up. We're sitting here just talking. That's the problem. You get Donnie and I in the boat together and we're just sitting there talking. It's better fish. Yeah, not bad at all. This fish is inhaled it.
Yeah, he's hungry. There is no bait left. Yep, he chomped her. You know, I actually like that because they're a lot easier to get out of the net.
Yeah.
If the whole fish is, if the whole bait is gone.
Yeah,
that fish wanted it.
The number 9 jigging wrap just gone.
Got it.
Absolutely gone. Show that fish off. That is so cool. Basically, you know, one of the things I really want to push in this episode so you can understand what we're doing is we're using live sonar to be able to see where these fish are. Now we're using our traditional 2D sonar to originally find these fish. Drive up on these points in the structure that we're fishing and we'll see them. But then now we're using live sonar to pick apart what direction are we casting. I'm up on the bow of the boat, right? And so traditionally a guy would fish off in the front. But on this pole system, I'm able to move that live sonar back and forth, and there just simply isn't any fish out in front of me right now, so I would be wasting time casting out in front of the boat. I turn that pole system straight backwards, and I could point that transducer to the back of the boat. We saw that there was a cluster of fish back there. I made a cast directly behind the boat, literally the first cast, and I caught this fish. So the live sonar really helps us dial in where we're casting. We're using 2D sonar to find these fish, and then picking it apart with the live sonar.
So some specific locations that I look for or will pinpoint to look at with electronics when I come out are if any steep break or finger into deep water has a decent flat on top of it, I will look on the flats, the wind blown side, and the side, what I call the back side, where is a little sheltered from the wind. Any given day, all three can hold fish, so don't be afraid to scan around a little bit before you commit to any particular area. As we get into later summer, early fall, and fall, I'll start looking where those fingers and the ends of reefs dip into deeper mud. That rock to mud transition, oftentimes 28, 29, 30 feet of water is going to hold probably the biggest fish in the system. So as we move further into fall, I actually will start looking a little bit deeper than we're fishing today. That might be a little better. Yeah, that might be a little better specimen there. Yep. I'm actually going to back reel on this fish while Jake gets the net. Instead of just letting the drag, letting the fish control the fight, a lot of times on bigger fish I'll put the back reel on, and when that fish wants to run, I can then just keep the rod loaded by using that back reel. This is going to be a little bit better fish. Now, as that fish runs, I just let it run and back reel, keeping constant tension on the rod and the line. You can still control the fight. Yeah, that's a beautiful
that's a good
fish.
Donnie.
Those are the ones we come here for. Those are the ones we come here for. Yeah, that one was aggressive. That one hit it on the drop. So, you know, as you're ripping it, a lot of times I like to catch it with my rod and lower it into the bottom so that line is semi-slack. And the bigger, more aggressive fish almost always hit it on the way down, which is, it's crazy to think about how fast these baits drop. Predators like big walleyes, they key on that and you feel that smash, you know, instead of typically a little bit smaller fish are just on it when you go for your next rip because they've pinned it to the bottom. Right? Big fish eat. They grab it on the way down, which is mind-blowing to me when you see how fast these baits fall in the water column. So, nice specimen there. We'll get her unhooked and put her back. There she goes.
Special considerations are provided by Cisco Fishing Systems, your fishing equipment experts. Special considerations are provided by ProCure, ruthlessly effective bait sets.
There we go.
That's a better fish.
That's a good fish.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good fish. There's about 6 of them under the boat right now. Woo! Donnie.
Yeah.
We got a good one, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a nice pod we're working right here. It does go to show you, you don't always have to cast them out.
Nice.
You can work them straight up and down.
You know, this fish is going back anyways, but I just wanted to show how these fish are biting. They either get that tick in the line, right, that everybody loves, but you see at this fish, that treble hook's right underneath its jaw. That fish just pegged it to the bottom. When that glide bait fell on slack line, that fish came down, and you can actually see it on live sonar where they'll turn nose down and they come down and they just peg that bait right to the bottom. So when I lifted up, there was just weight there and I set the hook. But that is a beautiful Rainy Lake walleye, and we've caught a pile of these fish today.
That one had her pinned to the bottom as well.
Pretty good.
That's a little better fish, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me grab a net for you here, buddy.
Yeah, that was, boy, we dropped straight into them, and that was about the 3rd rip. Coming to you here.
Nice fish.
Nice, yeah, that was about the 3rd rip, and she had her pinned. No sled, but boy, she's on full display for you. I love that. Look at how thick these fish are. Like, when these fish are feeding heavy on these smelt, I'm gonna show you something. That fish is like a brick. There is hardly no play in that fish. She is plumb full of smelt. We're gonna send that one home.
There he is. Nice. Woo! Oh, Donnie, this feels like a pretty good one, buddy.
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice fish.
Oh, it's nice fish.
Nice. You know, today it seems like personally, I mean, Donnie's been catching a lot of fish casting too, but personally for me, I've had better luck just fishing straight below the boat and it's keeping it vertical. And a lot of times I'll cast and I work that bait back and I get below the boat and I just start jigging it straight below the boat. And that's when those fish seem to bite it. So, you know, every day is different. You want to work these baits aggressively, but for me, it seems like when that bait's been getting vertical and I'm working it straight up and down is when I've been getting the bites today. So I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to keep figuring it out, keep catching a bunch of fish. Directly under the boat down here. This feels like a little bit better fish here. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, and they start to glide, you know, they're a better fish.
Yeah.
All right, I'll swing them over here towards you maybe.
I'm ready when you are. Get that head coming this way.
She don't want to come to the boat.
She's angry. Yep. She made a bad decision.
Nice fish.
Yeah, beautiful walleye there.
These are absolutely gorgeous walleyes. I hope that you can see from the video how pretty these fish are. A golden color fish. Absolutely gorgeous. You can see that jigging rap. Absolutely choked it. And I marked just a cluster of them, maybe 3 or 4 of them directly under the boat. And I dropped that jigging rap down and gave it about 2 rips. There he was. And you can't beat it. I mean, that rod in hand, thunk in the line. Everybody, I mean everybody that fishes loves that feeling. And that's the reason why we put the truck camper on the truck, hooked up to the boat, and drove up here to spend a few days on Rainy Lake. There are so many different things to do here on Rainy Lake that we felt like we couldn't get it all in a 22-minute TV episode. And so I'm really excited for next week's episode. We shot a crappie show and caught some absolute incredible crappies. We're right here on the same location, back-to-back weeks, catching fish on Rainy Lake. We'll see you here same time, same place next week.
Closed captioning is provided by Precision Trolling Data. Fishing 411 TV is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, Starcraft Marine, Suzuki Marine, J Sporting Goods, Smooth Move Seats, Niagara Falls, USA, Eagle Claw, Bill Lewis, and Yakima Bait Company.
And then on your next rip, they're just there. I like these ones. They're easy to unhook. There you go. Golly, what a cute little deal. I would so eat this walleye.